Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Full Potential Show. I'm James Rick, and this is your number one non-boring source for personal development. Today on the line, we have Carolyn Porter. She is a life coach, speaker, author, intuitive, founder of Where Miracles Happen, Quantum Healing and Empowerment Center. And today's theme for the show is empowerment, discovering your truth and living through it. She's the author of the Path of Empowerment and Study course and the essential how-tos for creating a better life. And I have good news. If you hang on to the end of the interview, we're going to talk about how to get your hands on a free copy of the essential how-tos for creating a better life. Carolyn, thank you for being on today's Full Potential Show.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, let's talk about how to live a more empowered life and how you define it. And before we do that, I want to take a step back and go to a time when before you felt empowered, what inspired you to move on this path?
Really very simple. I became ill. It was a big wake-up call, and my journey of healing was many years. I couldn't find answers, and I had to find my own. And in the process, even though it was a physical problem, I learned that the emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects of who I am influenced what I created actually in my physical realm. And so as I discovered all of these different aspects and how I was allowing everybody to control my life and tell me what to do, I found a different way to live, and that was the life of empowerment.
And what was it that made you get sick? I mean, you said that it is tied to this emotional disturbance, to some of these other dimensional disturbances. Can you pinpoint something exactly, or was it just prolonged exposure to stress? I mean, what was it?
It was stress. And what happened to me is I developed what is called adrenal fatigue. It is simply a burnout of your adrenals, which are your stress regulator. And of course, stress is not just, it can be emotional, it can be mental, it can be finances, it can be relationships, it can be physical, like diet and sleep patterns, and all of these things, contribute to the adrenal. It's a core issue in your body, and it's a huge problem. There's over 80 or 85% of all of society, not even here, just in our country, but in other countries, that experience this during their life because people don't know how to respond to stress. And that was what I had to learn because my body couldn't handle it anymore.
And that's just it. Our stress response is for temporary conditions of threat, not chronic conditions of threat. Otherwise, your body will burn out emotionally and physically and mentally, and that creates disease. All right, so you go through this transition of I'm sick, I'm stressed, I want to live a more empowered life. What did you start doing to get on track?
Well, the first thing I had to do was surrender. I had to surrender, trying to figure it all out, trying to control it. And I surrendered my belief in a higher power as God. And so I surrendered it. I said, give me answers. Show me where to go to find them. So that was my first step. And then I began to realize I had to change my whole foundation. Everything I had built my life on was fear-based. Everything was in the negative realm. I focused on lack. I focused on not enough. I focused on I'm not good enough, or I can't do that. And that's all I had ever known because that's what I had been taught. And of course, you sure can't live your potential when you're living there.
Absolutely. And so this focus had to change. And when you surrendered, did you feel like it was giving up or a different kind of surrender? What was it?
It was not giving up as far as I'm quitting, I can't live this way, I can't live in this life, I don't want to be here, that kind of a thing. It was, I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to change me. So I'm surrendering my will, you step in. In other words, it's like sliding over into the passenger seat. And, and I just handed the steering wheel to God and I said, show me where to go for answers. And one by one, teachers appeared. Different things showed up in my life, and I began to research and study, and it was quite a few years of discovery.
And that's an important distinction, that it's not giving up, it's just letting go and opening up to possibilities.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll talk about the what it means to discover your truth now. I mean, does it come when you let go, or what does it mean to discover your truth?
Well, what I found is over time, I was letting others control my life, telling me what was important, telling me my beliefs. And I wasn't taking time to sit quietly and find out, well, what do I really think about that? Is that important to me? Or is this trivial to me? Sometimes I had to learn to say no. You know, this isn't going to work anymore. Even in relationships, I actually got a divorce after 32-year marriage because I realized it wasn't going to work, not because I hadn't tried, but because I was trying to put the square peg in the round hole, you know? And it just wasn't working. And it applied in many areas of my life. And I learned basically to fall in love with myself. And I had to see my own value because I didn't see that. I had really low self-worth. I could have never been on a show like this, or be a speaker, or do any of the things that I now do because I felt inferior. I felt defective.
And that's really it. You hold yourself back. You limit yourself when you're in that box of limiting beliefs. You're small, you're scrunched up. You might feel safe because you can't even be seen by others, but you can't really express who you really are and your full potential unless you get out of that. So how did you get out of that story? How did you get out of those binding, limiting beliefs?
Oh, it was a process, and it took some time. It was just like I said, teachers appeared. All of a sudden, I'd see a book. I remember this one book I had seen years ago was Change Your Conversations, Change Your Life. Change Your Life. And another one, Louise Hay has a book, You Can Heal Your Life. There's another one, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die, by Carol Truman. And some of these people, their message was very inspiring, and it opened new ways for me to think. That's basically where it went. I had to change my limiting beliefs, and I attended classes, various things that I began to do as I was led towards people with different thinking, different principles than what I had been brought up with.
So it sounds like you didn't really know what the process would look like. You just opened up to the process.
Exactly.
Okay, so now you're starting to discover your truth as you're stepping outside of this old comfort zone. I mean, a 32-year marriage, so comfortable, but you step outside of that, you get a divorce, you're on this journey and this new process that has opened up now that you're open to discovering what exactly that truth is about yourself. I also heard you talk about giving yourself that time and space to meditate and know what's important to you, know what you value, and know whether it's trivial or not. And that's all part of the process of discovering your truth. Now, what does it mean to start living through it? Because it's one thing to know what you need to do. It's another thing to know who you are. But now it's another thing to start living through it. What does that mean, and how did you start living through your truth now?
Well, it's overcoming the fear. Actually, when I learned to speak in public, that's been quite some years, I didn't think I could ever do it. And I had a health store at the time, and I had a lot of clients and customers coming in telling me, oh, you need to share all these things. I was writing newsletters and things like this, and they said, you need to share it. There's so much information you have as you're learning. And I was still in the learning process of all of this. And I couldn't do it. I kept putting it off for about 1.5 years, maybe even 2 years. And finally, that inner nudge wouldn't let go of me until I said, all right, I'm going to do it. I was so petrified. My clothes were literally shaking on my body. But somehow I did it. And 8 weeks later, I did a 4-hour seminar. And even though I was nervous at first, after about 10 minutes, I saw people listening and taking notes. I said, wow, this is kind of cool. And then I realized I had overcome the fear. So the key is doing it.
Doing it even in spite of the fear.
Absolutely.
And so now living this better life, I mean, it goes beyond the podium, of course. It's in the day-to-day decisions that you make. And so once you identify what you value, what you care about, what your truth is, you recognize there's going to be a fear anytime you make a change that's outside of what you already know, and you're still going to do it anyway if it's in your best interest and it's in the best interest of others. You can actually start to enjoy the process too, it sounds like.
Yes, you can. Because it's almost like an adventure every day.
It's exciting to break through that barrier.
It is, because you're free.
You're free.
You don't have any more constrictions unless you put them there.
And it's freedom in knowing that, but you can't know it until you actually get to that point. That's the interesting paradox.
It is. You have to do it to experience it.
To experience it and
it's that,
to then
it's
understand.
sort of like faith. You have faith that something is going to occur that you say, oh, yeah, I get it now. That same idea.
All right, Carolyn, before we talk about how to get the essential how-tos for creating a better life, is there any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Well, this is one of the most important tools, I think, for becoming an empowered person or beginning to shift your life. And I just thought I'd share that. It's gratitude. It's the #1 tool I give in my path of empowerment. When you can shift your life into one of gratitude, which is, of course, positive. It never can be negative. You can't step into fear when you're grateful for things. Even the challenges, when you can shift to that place, it is the most amazing shift. It's the most powerful tool of all in shifting a life. Because most people focus on what they don't have and they're gripey and whiny or whatever. And if you start being grateful, and Oprah always refers to this, she started with the small things and it expanded into more and more until the bounty that she's experienced, as we all know, has been tremendous. And the same thing can be true for all of us. Maybe it won't look the same as her life, but we'll have a bountiful life. And that's what can shift you into an empowered life, into making changes in your own life. It was the most powerful thing for me in my life.
It seems like such a simple thing, and sometimes it seems fuzzy, like, oh, gratitude, wonderful. But there's some very real progress in being grateful. There's the focus shift that happens, moving from a negative state to a positive state. There's the belief shift that happens from, oh, I'm a victim, my life's not great, to I have some things that are actually really good in my life. There's the value shift from, oh, nothing's great, I don't have enough in my life, to, wow, not only am I grateful for what I have, but I have it, I have value here. There's, so there's all these things that start shifting, and you continue to add on to that as you move into that higher confidence, higher value, higher energy. So that's a great point, Carolyn. I mean, gratitude is the bridge to all great things. Obviously, it may not lead to the life that Oprah's lived, but if you're grateful for your life, I mean, gratitude that Oprah has is going to be very similar to the same gratitude you have for your life. No matter if the differences are vast, the gratitude and the feelings that come with it are very similar.
Yeah, absolutely. And you start small. You start with the little things like, hey, I'm alive. I can breathe. I'm grateful for that. Oh, look, the sun's out. What a beautiful day, or whatever.
I'm alive, and everything else is just a bonus. That's something I say to myself all the time, and no matter what happens in the day, I'm alive, and whatever else happens, it's just a bonus. All right, how do they get the essential how-tos for creating a better life, Carolyn?
They can go to http://wheremiracleshappen.com/better life.
Okay, and that's just wheremiracleshappen.com/better life. And your website, Carolyn, it's wheremiracleshappen.com. Now, if you go to wheremiracleshappen.com/better life, this is just for Full Potential listeners and watchers right now. You're going to get the essential how-tos for creating a best life. These are the best practices that Carolyn Porter has put together as she's discovered her truth and she's lived through it. So this is years of personal reflection and perspective and research. You can get it very easily by going to wheremiracleshappen.com/better life. Carolyn, thank you so much for being on today's Full Potential show.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you, and everybody who's watching and listening right now, be sure and subscribe to get more great insights like you got here from Carolyn Porter today, and freebies that you'll only find right here on the Full Potential Show. I'm James Rick, wishing you all a wonderful afternoon or day. Thank you, Carolyn, for being on the show again.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, that concludes this week's episode of the Full Potential Show, your #1 non-boring source for personal development. I'm James Rick, and if you want to get more positive programming for your brain absolutely free on a weekly basis, just visit fullpotential.com.
If you like the Full Potential Show, you're going to love the Full Potential Club. What would you like most as a Full Potential Club member? Be 2 to 3 times more productive? Do what you're passionate about? Have more energy? Reduce your work hours? Travel the world? Enjoy an amazing lifestyle on a frugal budget? What if you could do them all? James Rick has been there and done it in ways that few people have. For anyone serious about taking their life or business to the next level, you know you've got to do more than just watch. You've got to do. Join James Rick and other like-minded people for an incredible $10 a month at fullpotential.com/club. Be educated. Be empowered. Be the best version of you. fullpotential.com/club. Try it free for 30 days.